with disabilities through inclusive education, especially in the context of Indonesia and Korea. Allow me to extend our heartfelt gratitude and warm welcome to Dr. Imam Sujadi, Magister Science, the Dean of the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas 11 Maret, who is now represented by Dr. Pediatri Nurma Yunita Indrianti, Sarjana Pendidikan, Magister Science, Magister of Science, Vice Dean of Academic and Research, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas 11 Maret. Dr. Joko Yuno, Magister Pendidikan, the Head of Master Program in Special Education, Universitas 11 Maret. All respected lecturers, faculty members, and guests who have been supported the organization. To our esteemed speakers, Mr. Saryadi Sarjana Teknik MBA, the Director of Special Education and Special Services, Pendidikan Khusus, Pendidikan Layanan Khusus, Ministry of Education Republik of Indonesia, who is today represented by Bapak Cecep Sumantri. I'm really sorry. That is represented by Bapak Cecep Sumantri. And also Ms. Jia Song, the representative of National Institute of Special Education Korea. We also sincerely appreciate the presence of students, researchers, and participants from various regions and institutions. Right now, allow me to present a brief overview of today's agenda. First, we will begin with the opening session, and then followed by singing of our national anthem, Indonesia Raya. And then next is a speech by the Head of Special Education Master Program, Bapak Dr. Joko Yuwono MPD. Then we will hear an opening remark from the Vice Dean of Academic and Research, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Ibu Dr. Payet Nurma Yunita Indrianti. After that, we'll watch a short video presentation introducing the Master Program in Special Education. The session will continue with introduction. Our moderator, Ibu Leni Ambar Cahyani, Magister Pendidikan, lecturer in the Undergraduate Special Education Program, Universitas 11 Maret. And then we will have our first keynote presentation delivered by Bapak Cecep Sumantri, PhD, from the Ministry of Special Education and Special Services Indonesia, led discussion by our moderator, Buleni, and then we will proceed to the second keynote presentation by Ms. Songjia from the National Institute of Special Education Korea, followed by discussion by our moderator. And then finally, we will close the session with documentation and closing remarks. To begin the session with unity and pride, I invite you all to respectfully sing Indonesian national anthem, Indonesia Raya. Next, we will listen to a welcome speech from the Head of Special Education of Master Program, Universitas 11 Maret. Please welcome Bapak Dr. Joko Yuwono, MPD. Bapak Joko Yuwono, the time is yours.
Ya, apakah suara saya terdengar? Bisa didengar, Mbak?
Jelas Pak Joko.
Ya, terima kasih Mbak Clara. Thank you very much, Mbak Clara. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, let us always be full to God because today we always given the head and can participate in this program, so guest lecture, and then yes, I think it's very important to thank to Henry for my dean in the Faculty of Teacher Training and in Education in UNS, University of 11 Maret, Surakarta, and presented by Miss Dr. Pat Nurma Yunita Indrayanti, Vice Dean for Academic and Research in the teacher training education. And then thank you very much for the head of the special education study program. And then thank you very much for yes, for Mr. Saryati, and today presented by Pak Sumantri PhD. Thank you very much. So Pak Direktur sangat sibuk, tiba-tiba mendadak harus diundang oleh MPR. Pak Cecep Sumantri, PhD from Special Directorate of Special Education and Special Services, Education Services, Service Education. And then Jia Song as a speaker too, Jia Song from NIS, National Institute of Special Education Korea. So ya nanti dia bisa bergabung di jam 9.40. Kita tunggu. And then thank you very much for all our senior lecturer in the special education master program, Profesor Nawir, Profesor Rafiq, Profesor Gunar Hadi, Profesor Sunardi, and Profesor Subagio, and others lecturer who is joined in the webinar. And then thank you for the peer group research in Center for Disability Studies, the Research and Community Services Institution from LPPM, UNS. And last, thank you for all students, master program and the bachelor's program of special education, alumni of the master program of special education. Thank you for taking time to join this guest lecture. Ini saya sengaja mengundang alumni juga dan mahasiswa S2 dan peer group. And then the information about this guest lecture program will invite from a director of special education and special services. It is very important talk about the policy and how to implementation of inclusive education, especially in Indonesia today. Thank you, Pak Cecep Sumantri. And then the second speaker, this is a friend from Korea. Jia Song. I don't know, Song Jia atau Jia Song ya Bang ya. She is an education researcher from Nice, South Korea. She will talk about the spatial and inclusive education in Korea and what they do for the inclusion in the Korea and another challenges. I think it's very important. We can learn more about information about the how to implement the inclusive education in the Korea. Yeah, and then the purpose of this program is very important to increase the knowledge insight of a student, both the master program and the undergraduate program in the special education program in KIP UNS, and then also for all lecture related the issues of inclusive education. Ya, di Indonesia ini sedang terus giat bekerja menguatkan, mengembangkan pendidikan inklusif melalui direktoratnya Pak Saryadi, dalam ini Pak Cecep Sumantri PhD, yang memimpin di direktorat ini untuk terus menggerakkan pendidikan inklusif di Indonesia. Last, I think thank you very much for our dean, FKIP, because this program is supported by our dean, FKIP, and then funded funded by FKIP. Thank you very much, Pak Dr. Imam Sujadi, dalam hari ini Bu Dr. Terima kasih sudah diberikan dukungan. Tanpa dukungan beliau-beliau, kegiatan ini mungkin tidak bisa berjalan dengan lancar. Terima kasih, terima kasih. Ya, saya kira itu saja yang bisa saya sampaikan. Mari belajar banyak informasi dari policy and implementation inclusive education in Indonesia and Korea. Thank you for that. Enjoy to all. Enjoy following this guest lecture program. Thank you very much. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saya kembalikan pada Clara. Terima kasih.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Bapak Joko Yuno, insightful opening and support for today's webinar. Next, we are honored to hear an opening remark from the Dean of the Faculty Teacher Training and Education Universitas 11 Maret. Today, this opening remark will be represented by the Vice Dean of Academic and Research, Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, Universitas 11 Maret, Ibu Dr. Pediatri Nurma Yunita Indrianti, Sarjana Pendidikan, Magister Sains, Master of Science. Welcome, Ibu Dr. Payat Nurma Yunita Indrianti. The time is yours.
Yes, thank you very much, Mbak Karisa, Master of Ceremony for this morning event. Good morning, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semuanya. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. And also good morning for Miss Jia Song from South Korea. The Honorable, all of the speakers today in International Guest Lecture that held by Master Program of Special Education in Faculty of Teacher Training and Education. First is Pak Cecep Sumantri, PhD, from Directorate of Special Education and Special Services in Indonesia. Good morning, Pak Cecep. Thank you very much for having this lecture as your activity today. And second one is Ms. Jia Song, researcher educational of NICE, yes, National Institute of Special Education from South Korea. And the Honorable, the head of Master Program of Special Education, FTTE UNS, Pak Dr. Joko Yuwono, lecturer in the Special Education Program in our faculty, FTTE UNS, and all of the participant. The participant not only a student in master program, or also a student in undergraduate program. Hopefully, all the teachers, special education, also join this outstanding international guest lecture today. Yes. Thank you very much for Master Program of Special Education that already held this international guest lecture, that very important topics in the policy. Miss Jia Song would talk about inclusive education in Korea. So we could see the best practices, how the national education organization, the implementation, evaluation are conducting. So we can learn from Korea. And the second theme that's also very important for us that would like to present by Dr. Cecep related to the policy and implementation of education in Indonesia. As you know that Universitas 11 Maret and also FTTE, we put the education on inclusiveness is a part of the main focus of the development of the university. As you can see, US have inclusion metric, right? That by the research center, the disabilities in UNS is held to measure how faculty implementing the principle of inclusive education in teaching, in research, and also about community services, and also the all activity that support the university vision. And for the faculty, we have one obligatory course called inclusive education, that this is obligation for all of the study program in a bachelor degree should have this course in the curriculum structure. And this is as the obligatory course that should have go to the program.com that come to this course, inclusive education, that should be learned by student in the third semester. So this is the commitment from the university, from the FTTE, from the study program to support how the inclusiveness and also inclusive education implemented in our Universitas 11 Maret. Thank you very much, Pak Joko and team, that success, and also all of the lecturers in the special education study program, the expert of this program. And four of the participants, the committee for today, hopefully you can gain many experience, many knowledge, many new insight related to the special education, both in policy implementation as well as the best practices that come from South Korea this morning. This great opportunity, I hope you all have this guest lecture, international guest lecture, as the things that we can gain, all of the things to do as a baseline to have the research, have the teaching ahead, right? So we can collaborate, engage all of activities, how we can put the principle of inclusive education in the teaching, research, and also community services. Yes, thank you very much for this event. And by saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and good morning. So I officially open this international guest lecture today for 7 July 2025 that held by Master Program of Special Education Department. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Matur suwun Bu Nurma nggih.
Thank you very much, Bu Nurma, for the insightful opening and the continued support for the inclusive education in Universitas 11 Maret. We truly apologize for the mistake in mentioning the doctorate degree, Dr. Pedagogi Nurma Yunita Indrianti, Sarjana Pendidikan, Magis Science, Master of Science. Thank you very much, Bu Nurma. We also want to read Ibu Mika Anastasia from the Directorate of Special Education and Special Service Education. Good morning, Bhumika. Thank you for joining us today.
Good morning, Miss Clara, or Mbak Clara. Yeah,
Right. Mbak
Alright.
Clara is fine.
It's
Right.
fine. Okay.
Thank you, Bhumika. Enjoy the webinar today. Okay, before we move forward, let us take a moment to watch a brief profile video introducing the Master Program of Special Education here at Universitas 11 Maret. For all participants, kindly direct your attention to the screen.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Perkenalkan, saya Dr. Joko Yuwono MPD. Saya adalah Kepala Program Studi S2 Pendidikan Luar Biasa Fakultas Keguruan dan Ilmu Pendidikan Universitas 11 Maret Surakarta, atau lebih dikenal dengan Prodi S2 PLB. Program Studi Pendidikan Luar Biasa FKIP UNS memiliki visi yakni menjadi lembaga pengembang ilmu pengetahuan dan teknologi di bidang pendidikan khusus dan layanan khusus yang kompetitif dan bereputasi tingkat internasional. Oleh karena itu, untuk mencapai visi tersebut, misi dari Program Studi S2 Pendidikan Luar Biasa FKIP UNS yakni menyelenggarakan pendidikan dan pembelajaran yang mendorong tumbuhnya budaya inovasi yang kreatif di dalam bidang pendidikan khusus dan layanan khusus. Juga mengembangkan ilmu pengetahuan dan teknologi, memecahkan permasalahan sains, teknologi, dan seni di bidang pendidikan khusus, serta mengelola sumber daya pendidikan secara kreatif, inovatif, akseleratif untuk mengambil kebijakan yang strategis dalam mengembangkan manajemen pendidikan khusus serta layanan khusus. Tujuan dari program studi pendidikan luar biasa yaitu menghasilkan lulusan yang memiliki kompetensi dalam pengembangan ilmu dan teknologi bagi peningkatan metode pendidikan khusus dan layanan khusus di tingkat nasional maupun internasional. Juga menghasilkan lulusan di bidang pendidikan khusus yang memiliki wawasan global tanpa melupakan nilai-nilai luhur budaya nasional dan kearifan lokal. Juga menghasilkan lulusan yang memiliki kemampuan untuk melakukan penelitian dan pengembangan di bidang teknologi pendidikan khusus, serta menghasilkan lulusan yang memiliki kemampuan di dalam memecahkan masalah-masalah di bidang pendidikan khusus dan layanan khusus secara ilmiah melalui kegiatan pengabdian kepada masyarakat dan kegiatan sosial lain. Sebagai Prodi S2 PLB, kami memberikan dukungan sarana prasarana yang aksesibel seperti adanya lift, adanya toilet khusus bagi penyandang disabilitas, juga parkir khusus, ruang belajar yang ramah, ber-AC, pembelajaran yang memiliki alat bantu atau teknologi asistif bagi penyandang disabilitas, dan semuanya itu adalah untuk memberikan kemudahan agar semuanya bisa belajar dengan baik. Prodi S2 PLB FKIP UNS didukung oleh para pengajar, dosen yang memiliki kepakaran di bidang pendidikan khusus. Program studi S2 PLB FKIP UNS telah menghasilkan lulusan-lulusan yang berkarir di bidang pendidikan, seperti menjadi dosen di program studi pendidikan luar biasa, baik di perguruan tinggi negeri dan perguruan tinggi swasta. Juga ada yang berkarir menjadi kepala sekolah luar biasa, menjadi guru di sekolah luar biasa, dan juga menjadi guru pembimbing khusus berada di sekolah penyelenggara pendidikan inklusif, serta menjadi pengelola lembaga penanganan anak berkebutuhan khusus serta lembaga lainnya. Mari bergabung bersama program studi S2 PLB FKIP UNS. Kita ciptakan masyarakat yang inklusif dan Indonesia ramah disabilitas. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much for watching the video profile of our master's program in special education. Now, it's time to begin our awaited main session. I would like to hand over the session to our moderator, Ibu Leni Amber Cahyani, MPD. She is a lecturer in the undergraduate special education program at Universitas 11 Maret, focusing in autism and inclusive education. Ibu Leni will guide us through the keynote presentation and lead discussion session. Bu Leni, the time is all yours.
Okay, thank you, Clara. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Dr. Imam Sujati, Magister of Science as the Dean of Faculty of Teacher Training and Education at 11 Maret University. On this occasion, represented by Dr. Pedagogi Nurma Junita Indrianti, Magister of Science, who served as the Vice Dean for Academic Affairs and Research. Our chairperson of the committee, Dr. Joko Yuwono, Lecturer of Special Education Department, members of the Disability Center, and to our respected speakers, Jia Song from the National Institute of Special Education in South Korea, and Mr. Saryan B.A. as the Director of Special Education and Special Services Education in Indonesia, who is represented by Mr. Cecep Sumantri, PhD, and all the participants of today's webinar. Good morning and thank you for joining us. So we are meeting virtually. It is a real pleasure to have all of you with us today. Let me quickly reintroduce myself. My name is Amy. I am a lecturer at the Special Education Department in 11 Maret University. It is a real pleasure for me to be your today in this exciting webinar. Today, we have the opportunity to explore a very interesting topic, implementation of inclusive education support system for children with disabilities in Indonesia and Korea. I would like to highlight that the participants to today's webinar include lecturers from Special Education Department, members of Disability Studies Center LPPM UNS, active undergraduate student, graduate student, and alumni of Special Education Study Program. The goals of today's webinar are to share knowledge with the students, exchange educational practices from Indonesia and Korea, and to explore potential research collaboration between Faculty of Teacher Training and Education 11 Maret University, National Institute of Special Education. On this occasion, we are fortunate to have two respected speakers who will share their knowledge and experiences in this field. Our first speaker is Mr. Saryadi, who will be presented by Mr. Sumantri, PhD, from the special education and special educational services in Indonesia. The presentation will be about policy and implementation of inclusive education in Indonesia. And following that, our second speaker is Song from the National Institute of Special Education in South Korea. Okay, before we begin, let me read out our agenda today. First, we will hear the presentation from the first speaker. And then after that, we will move to the presentation from the second speaker. And after the presentation are done, we will move to the Q&A session. And as an alternative for the audience with the question during the presentation, you can also type your question in the comment box, and we will choose some of the questions during the Q&A session. And then after the Q&A session, we will be the closing statement from the both of the speaker. Okay, now without any further ado, please let me greet our first speaker. Hello, Mr. Cecep. How are you today?
Good, Malini. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Okay, Mr. Cecep, I hope all is well. And in this occasion, you will be sharing your experiences about policy and implementation about inclusive education in Indonesia. Your time for the presentation is 30 minutes. I hope that would be enough, sir.
No worries. I prepared 600 slides, but I will manage it within 30 minutes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, if you are ready for the presentation, shall we begin?
Right, sure.
Okay, Mr. Cecep, the time is yours.
Thank you very much, Malini, once again. And thank you very much, Pak Joko, for having me and all the academics in Universitas 11 Maret. Thank you very much. And please allow me to share my screen. All right, I hope you can see my screen now. Is it okay?
Yes, sir, yes.
All right, thank you very much. And first of all, it's a great honor and privilege for me to be part of this guest lecture. This is something that I normally do back in 2 or 3 years ago, but this is something new for me, dealing with special education this time. And please allow me to briefly share with you some policies related to inclusive education in Indonesia. I would like to have it in a warm way, hoping that we could have a great productive discussion afterwards, especially exchanging ideas and information together with Miss Song later on after her presentation. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we all know that the mandate for inclusive education in Indonesia is strongly grounded in our institution or in our constitution. The Constitution of 1945 mandates that education is a human right. In relation to this, we also have Law number 20, 2003 on national education system, guaranteeing that Indonesian citizens should have equitable access to quality education for all. And in this context, including those students or children with disabilities. And we also have Law number 8, 2016 on persons with disabilities that reaffirms this commitment by obligating public services, including educational units, to be inclusive and non-discriminatory. The importance of human resource development in this context, in relations to science and technology, gender equality, and also empowerment of youth, as well as children and girls with disabilities, is highlighted in the political agenda called Astacita. And then regulations such as Government Number 13, 2020 on adequate accommodation, as well as the Minister of Education and Culture Regulation Number 48, 2023, provide a more comprehensive and robust operational framework to ensure inclusive practices within our country, especially education institutions. So based on these legal frameworks or aspects, the next question is, so what education or inclusive education means for all of us? Based on the legal landscape, special education holds a vital position as defined by Law Number 20, 2003. Special education refers to educational services for students who experience difficulties in participating in regular learning objectives due to physical, emotional, mental, or social disabilities. And it also includes those students with exceptional intelligence or talents. And what is important to highlight here is that special education can be delivered through two modalities, through special institutions or through mainstream educational settings. Specialized education could encompass special schools or inclusive schools. And inclusive education is today increasingly promoted as it offers the opportunity for children with diverse needs to grow, learn, and interact together in the same education environments. This is something growing, and we will see later on the statistics that we have so far. So this is the statistics that we have so far. As of May 2025, there are nearly 52,000 education institutions in Indonesia that have enrolled students with disabilities. This means that there is a 17% increase compared to February in the same year, which is 2025. But let's take a look at another number. This figure shows that the number of students with disabilities has risen over more than over more than 174,000 students, marking a 20% increase within just a few months. The number increased rapidly, not only in terms of institutions enrolling students with disabilities, but the number of students with disabilities is also increased significantly from time to time. This large increase reflects increasing awareness and commitment at various levels of government and society. However, these figures also reveal the scale of challenge, which is the growing number of enrolled students must be matched with real improvements in teaching quality, infrastructure, and support services to ensure that these learners thrive, not only survive in schools. The cases of bullying, the cases of lack of teachers accompanying main teachers to handle student disabilities is a number of cases that normally comes to my desk from various teachers from various special schools and also inclusive schools, mentioning that there is a lack of human resources that could support the implementation of special or inclusive education at various schools across Indonesia. So based on these data, so these are some challenges that we normally face in implementing inclusive schools in Indonesia. So while the number of education institutions shows optimism that yes, indeed, inclusive education is something improving in the Indonesian context. And as you could see in your university as well, inclusive education becomes a subject that all students need to join in their first year, in their sophomore. Yes, it shows commitment, it shows optimism that it is something spreading and developing across Indonesia. However, challenges remain. The challenges that continuously present up to this present moment consist of the following. First of all, the quality of support provided to students with disabilities is often inadequate. As I mentioned earlier, infrastructure is one thing, but human resources is another thing. Infrastructure is something that we could offer within these couple of years ahead. with the president's agenda to have, with the president's agenda to revitalize education institutions across Indonesia, yes, we could provide support in terms of rectifying facilities that could provide or could support inclusive education in Indonesia. However, human resources is another thing. Human resources are a huge challenge for Indonesian context. We lack teachers, not only lack teachers in terms of number, but we also lack teachers in terms of quality. We do have a large number of teachers across Indonesia, but yes, it is true that we don't have teachers, quality teachers that could provide and support the implementation of inclusive education in Indonesia. And the second thing is that many schools lack specialized staff and inclusive education trained teachers, which means that training is another thing that could block the implementation of inclusive education in Asia. The number of training provided to teachers and non-teaching personnel is limited and relies heavily on the national budget. And then we also have the existing disability service units, or commonly called as OLD or ULDs in Indonesia, are yet to function effectively across all provinces and districts. It happens to many other sectors in the education sector in Indonesia. We do have various policies, we do have various programs. However, the programs remain refabrication. What I mean is refabrication is that policies are rebranded to another policies and named as other policies, so it stops as names. And this says something that has to stop now. And this is something that university lecturers, students, and academics could provide support on by doing research on the efficiency and effectiveness of disability service units. Disability service units also becomes political agenda for a number of mayor and governors, because they could easily become something that could improve their political votes. We also have another issues in terms of data. Data accuracy remains a concern. In many regions in Indonesia, we lack validated data on the number and types of children with special needs, which hampers proper planning and resource allocation. What I mean with this is that normally the data in Indonesia remain top-down. What we need now is that bottom-up. The data should also be verified by schools, should also be verified by local education authorities or LEAs. Having this in mind, this is also very important to talk that by having validated data, then we could easily provide interventions which are proper and target students in needs. We also have issues with assessment. Assessment mechanisms are also still weak, making it difficult for teachers to tailor instruction to individual needs. We lack quality teachers. We also don't have assessments. Even if we do have assessment mechanisms, I'm not sure that teachers across Indonesia could use the mechanism to assess the students. Even if the assessment could be conducted, then what happens next is that it is very difficult for teachers to analyze, to provide good analysis towards the assessment. And then finally, we also aim to empower students with disabilities. It means that we need to wait for the schools. Unfortunately, employment opportunities for graduates with disabilities remain limited, reflecting a broader issue of social inclusion. We have issues towards language use by deaf students or deaf people. There are debates over which one is better, Bisindo and Bisindo versus CB. This is something never ending. And it also shows that together with the number of teachers who are disabled teaching another disabled students. So if the debate between Bisindo and CB is precise, then the debate between the teachers who are more eligible to provide teaching and learning to students should also be something happening. So if the debate towards sign language is continuously happening in Asia, so why not making graduates with disabilities be more eligible to provide teaching and learning at inclusive schools. So based on the challenges that we have so far, so these are the strategies that we are currently doing and have been doing so far to implement inclusive education in Indonesia. So first of all, we emphasize advocacy and collaboration with local governments, particularly the education offices, to ensure stronger policy implementation at regional level. Indonesian education system by default, in terms of primary and secondary education, is facing difficulty so far. Because unlike higher education, which is top down, whatever the regulation made by the Ministry of Higher Education will be implemented by universities down there. It is not the case in Indonesian primary and secondary education. So the only thing that we could do right now is to work in a close proximity in terms of quality and also in terms of range with the local education authorities in order to ensure that the policies in relation to inclusive education implemented well down there in the local education authority areas. The second, we are also leveraging existing government support programs such as operational funding to enhance school capacity. This is something which is ongoing and has been ongoing for a very long time to provide budget from the national budget delivered directly to schools and also delivered directly to local education authorities, simply to enhance school capacity. We also prioritize improving competence of educators, particularly in identifying, assessing, and responding to the needs of children with special needs. This is the training that we are aiming to tailor-made so far. We are expecting the Directorate General of Teachers and Education Professionals would be willing to provide tailor-made training in order to improve the capacity of teachers in terms of providing inclusive environment. And this is a huge homework for everybody, of course. This is a long effort, so that's why it's also called this day as continuous professional development, or CPD. Third, we're also working to strengthen our data system, especially with the education education data platform to enable more accurate and comprehensive data collection. Again, money talks in this matter. Normally, each school will have a data operator, and this data operator is normally burdened with data collection task, which is not easy to carry out. And in order to do this, normally the demand is the ministry should provide and allocate more budget to train this data operator at schools. However, the reality shows that data operators at schools normally change continuously from time, and making it difficult for the ministry to have valid and also grounded data from time to time. However, we also believe that these strategies are grounded in the belief that inclusive education cannot be achieved by one entity alone. It requires multi-helix approach. It requires the combined efforts of nation and local governments, schools, civil society, and of course, families. Please allow me to move on to some initiatives and programs that the Directorate of Special Education and Special Education Services are currently enrolling and also emphasizing from time to time. So one major initiative is the development of a tiered inclusive education module in collaboration with the Director General of Teachers and Education Professionals and the Innovation Program, as well as the Western City Universities. This is something which is out of the box, which is collaborated by various parties, not only the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education, but we also have the help of the Australian Embassy to chip into the programs. This is quite a success, and I believe that your university is also part of it, and various organizational parties have also become an important supporters in these programs. In parallel, we are also expanding and optimizing the role of disability service units, or once again, it's mentioned as ULDs in all provinces and districts. Cross-sectoral coordination has been established within the Ministry of Home Affairs, the Ministry of Finance, and then also Disability National Commission, and also organizational partners and other parties, including universities. We are also enhancing physical access through special location funds, as I mentioned earlier, supporting the renovation and construction of disability-friendly school facilities. I really hope that at least 155 schools across Indonesia this year could be renovated, and the expectation is that the number could increase by more than 300%. And based on the budget that we have right now, I'm optimistic that more than 300 schools across Indonesia, in terms of their facilities, will be improved by the end of 2025. At the same time, we are innovating with tools such as online sign language dictionary, and I really hope that this is also a precise moment for me to say that this is the time for us to end the debate in Indonesia, just like in the US, between CB and Bisindo. This is never ending, and it is something which is, I think, wasting time. And then we are also implementing practical deep learning guidelines. I think Pak Joko and Mbak Maker are the team for that. This is intended for students with special needs to ensure that the platforms within the ministry, at least, will be accessible to all. And please allow me to mention that these strategies, these initiatives and programs are not isolated programs. They are part of a comprehensive movement toward a systemic transformation, which is expected to happen by at least within 5 years ahead. So, ladies and gentlemen, so these are a number of definitions that I would like to revisit. So, the first one is that we all now have adequate accommodation term. This term refers to necessary and reasonable adjustments that allow individuals with disabilities to enjoy and exercise their rights on equal basis with others. And all right, so I thought that was the chat, sorry. And then the second one is we also have a disability service unit, or ULD. It is a unit or an entity designed within local governments, usually within the education office or local education authority, that provides specialized services and ensures the implementation of inclusive practices. The number of ULDs across Indonesia is increasing, and so we are expecting to have across Indonesia by at least more than 32 of total 38 provinces, and then in districts we have 461 districts of total 514. And please allow me to continue to my next slide. So this is the tagline that my minister, or our minister, is currently promoting, or by doing public campaign. So the tagline is universal participation in implementing inclusive education. So by this definition, we could see that the ministry is aiming to have various parties work together, operate together to realize not only quality education, but also quality inclusive education for all. So by this, I believe that this is very important for us to strengthen policies and allocate sufficient budgets. However, I really hope that budgets will not be the main talks of our discussion today, because I believe, based on my research, budgets come second after human resources. And by having an expert from South Korea right after my presentation right now, I think this is also wise for us to learn that South Korea and Indonesia became independent countries by exactly the same year, 1945. However, research shows that Indonesia still needs 160 years to achieve the average of Finland, and to achieve the average of OECD country. And to achieve the average of Finland, we will need 360 years. So we are completely far and lag behind in terms of quality from South Korea. Let's take it as a moment to reflect and learn that I don't think it is wrong for us to learn from our peers, from our neighbor countries, and South Korea is one of the countries in which we have to learn from. And I believe we also need to invest in accurate mapping and data collection for us to enable to identify children with special needs early and design tailored interventions. Our human resources, as I mentioned, teachers, principals, non-teaching staff, require continuous professional development, or CPD. We must also foster multi-sectoral partnerships to address the broader needs of students and their families. I believe with the emergence or with the improvement of online platforms, continuous professional development will be something which is not difficult to carry out. Zoom is cheap, online platforms is affordable, so continuous professional development is just around the corner. So I believe this is also time for us to forget that capacity building or continuous professional developments should only be carried out by doing benchmarking to other countries, by visiting their countries, because it costs too much and it's such a waste of money. Infrastructure, of course, should also be accessible. And as I mentioned earlier, the Indonesian government is currently doing what the president is instructing to revitalize schools across Indonesia. Curriculum is supposed to be adaptive, and I believe that with the current changes in the Indonesian curriculum, the curriculum is much more developed. However, curriculum is something coming from the teachers. Let's not talk about curriculum as a policy, because curriculum is what's happening inside the classroom, and teachers have the agency and freedom to develop their own curriculum in our current education infrastructure and atmosphere. Most importantly, we also need to lead efforts in changing public perception, removing stigma, and encouraging inclusive attitudes, because inclusion begins not in policies but in mindset. This is something which is happening in Indonesia. Inclusive education is just a concept if stigma and stereotypes exist in our society. We could not differentiate which one is which one is right and which one is wrong, and which one is better for us to provide support to students with disabilities. I would like to end my presentation by emphasizing that inclusive education is not simply about accommodating students with disabilities. For me, inclusive education is about recognizing the value of every learner and building a society where all individuals have the opportunity to reach their full potential. I would like to rest my case there and provide rooms for discussions later on after the presentation from our respected speakers from South Korea. I would like to hand over to Mbak Leni. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jeb, for the comprehensive and a very informative presentation. Once again, I would like to make sure that Mr. Cecep, could you please stay in Zoom so that we can do the Q&A session after the second speaker, Mr. Cecep?
Sure, I'll be standby. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cecep. The information you share today is truly valuable for all of us, especially since we are working in the fields of special education and preparing to support children with special needs. Okay, now I will move to our next speakers. Our next speaker is Song Jia from the National Institute of Special Education in South Korea. Please allow me to greet our first speaker in Korean. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
Achimimida.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Yeah.
Chon achimimida.
Yeah. And I'm very glad to have this opportunity to share Korean special education and inclusion with Indonesian professionals. So thank you very much for inviting me.
Okay, thank you, Jia. So we have started the event earlier, an opening speech from the dean and the committee, and follow the presentation from the first speaker. And the next agenda is the presentation from you. Today, Jia Sung will talk about inclusive education in Korea and share her valuable insight from her research at the National Institute of Special Education in South Korea. Okay, Jia, your presentation is 30 minutes. I hope that will be enough.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I was informed that 20 minutes is given to me, but you gave me 10 minutes extra, so I can talk a bit more. Thank you.
Okay, okay. If you are ready, Jia Song, the time is yours.
Yeah. Can I share? Yeah. Okay. Hi everyone. Can you see the screen? See the PPT?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay, so my name is Jia Sung. I work at NISE, National Institute of Special Education in Korea, as an educational researcher. I used to be a special ed teacher for about 10-12 years, and then now I work as an educational researcher. So today I will cover very briefly about inclusive education in Korea, but I cannot talk about inclusive education without talking about special ed. So I will cover overview of special education and inclusive education in Korea, and then how we practice and the foundation work, which is legislations and policies and some key statistics about special and inclusive education in Korea and the challenges and the future directions. But first of all, I would like to introduce my institute because I think no one knows about my institute so far. So my institute is the National Institute, the only national institute which cover almost every area of students with disabilities, and even lifelong education for adults with disabilities as well. So we have 5 divisions. So except for the General Affairs division, we have planning and research and in-service training and digital education and lifelong education divisions. So, and we do this kind of work and research and survey. So when we started or when we issue new policies or new laws, we do the research to back up the laws. So my institute to do the foundation research before we make a new laws for people with disabilities or for students with disabilities. And we also work for national curriculum. So I'm not so sure if Indonesia also has national curriculum for special schools. But in Korea, we have a national curriculum for, of course, regular students, but also we have another national curriculum and the textbooks according to the national curriculum for students with disabilities, mainly for students who study in special school. So usually developmental disabilities, students with developmental disabilities are the subject of national curriculum for students with for special schools, and then we do the follow-up support. So we actually we got a new national curriculum since 2022. So every year we got new textbooks also. So we do follow-up support for schools. And then we also do teaching and learning materials development. So textbook or substitutional learning materials also. And then we do assessment tools development as well. So a few years ago, we made autism diagnosis tools. So those tools are used for decide the eligibility of a special educational needs. And we also do in-service training for teachers and other professionals who work with people with disabilities and digital education and special education on-site support, which means we visit schools and we visit wherever students with disabilities are placed, and then we do consultation or we provide some technical devices to the schools as well, and then we also do international cooperation. So my institutes will send a delegation to Indonesia in this year, November. So that's a part of international cooperation. So that was about my institute, and then I will talk about overview of special and inclusive education in Korea. So I think Indonesia also has specific laws to laws for special education, I guess. So in Korea, we had the first law called the Special Education Promotion Law in 1977, but it had a massive revision in 1994. But now we revise again. Actually, this is a new law, much better version from the previous one. Then we called Act on Special Education for Persons with Disability. It started from 2007, and every year we got new items in the law. So in the law, the law addresses definition of special education and inclusive education clearly, but it's not perfect. But in the law, we mention what is special education and what is inclusive education, and then in the law, they address the compulsory education for students with special needs is from 3 years to 17 years. So any student who are eligible for special education gets free education from 3 years to 17-year-old. So I don't know if Indonesia has such a compulsory education support system, but in Korea, it's longer than for the students without disability. So, and then prohibition of discrimination is clearly mentioned, and special education eligibility and school placement. So for the school placement, we say any students who are eligible for special education should be placed in the nearest school. So nearest school. And then the first option should be the inclusive schools, and then special classes, and then special schools. So in the law, we put the inclusive placement first, and then a little less inclusive, and then segregation, which is special schools. So this is the law. And then in the law, we mention individualized education plans. So I think probably Indonesia also implement individual education plans for students with disabilities, I guess. So it's a must for teachers who work for students with disabilities. It's a must document that every student has to have. And then the teacher education and special education related services. And there are a lot more items in the law. So those laws are quite settled now. So these laws made that kind of things clear, and the more responsible, make schools more responsible for the special education support. And then this is the Korean education system, and then special education is implemented in kindergarten and elementary school, middle school, high school, within inclusive settings, of course, But also on the right, we have special schools, which is a segregated model at each school level. So usually, if you visit Korean special schools, you can see the all years of students in one school. But there are some schools, some special schools who targets only early childhood education or secondary education, which focus more on vocational training, but many special schools covers different level of schools, like primary school and junior high school in the same building in the same school. So those are a bit different from the regular schools. So and also in terms of special classes, I think in Korea, almost 90%, about 90% of elementary school has at least one special classes in the building. So pretty much schools are quite well aware of special educational needs. And then this is the statistics of students with special needs in Korea. So these are the types of disabilities. So you can see like a majority of students with disabilities are having autism spectrum disorder and intellectual disabilities. So we call those disabilities as a developmental disabilities. And then about 20% of students with disabilities has a sensory impairments. And if you see the placement, it's pretty much equal. Like elementary school students cover about half of students are placed in the elementary school, and then another half is middle school and high school, and then you can see quite less students with disabilities are placed in kindergarten, which means it's about early diagnosis. So at this age, kids are not diagnosed early, then they are not counted in the statistics. So it seems like we have less young, early childhood with disabilities. And then this is the placement of students with disabilities in Korea. So you can see about 57% of students with special needs are placed in special classes, not special schools. So we consider those students are placed in in inclusive settings, but they spend some time in special classes, and they spend some time in their inclusive classes. And then the gray area represents full inclusive students. So they study in a general classes only. And then the blue part means students placed in special schools, which is a segregated model. So in Korea, we have about 70% of students with special needs placed in inclusive setting, partially or fully, which means about 26%, about 30% students are still in a segregated model in the settings. So it's compared to America or compared to Australia, it's far behind. But in Korea, still, some parents prefers special schools for their kids. But in Korea, the thing is that we have insufficient special schools. So even though some parents want to send the kids to a special schools, it's far from their home, or the schools are already full. So sometimes, regardless of their running, regardless of their choice, they have to just put them in inclusive schools. Probably special classes, they spend more time in there. So that's a problem in Korea also. Yeah, it seems we are going for inclusion, but still there are people who prefer special schools, and they are insisting, or they are requesting more special schools in the community. So it's another discussion. And this is the number of special education classes. So those are the numbers of students. Those are the numbers of these are the numbers of students with special needs. And then you can see the number of students with special needs are increasing every year. And then most of them are spending their time in a special classes. So in 1962, we had only 1,000 students with special needs, which means that they are not, I mean, my country has no data at the time. And then you can see in 1990, we had a massive, like a really rapid growth in the number of students with special needs. In 1990s, we made a lot of special education classes at the time, so that we can put more students with special needs in a special education setting. So at that time, we didn't have enough special schools, but the government tried to make more special education classes in regular schools. So, but then nowadays we have quite enough number of special classes, and then people people are not reluctant to get diagnosis. So we have like a growing number of students with special needs, not like whereas the number of students is decreasing. So it's kind of a phenomenon that the number of students are decreasing, but the number of students with special needs are increasing. So that's one of the research topic in Korea. And then these are the typical special classroom in Korea. So if you visit any elementary schools in Korea and then visit special ed classes, you will see pretty similar environment like this. I used to teach students in this kind of classes. So those are typical special classroom, and the students spend a few hours in these classes, and then they spend another hours in their inclusive, their homeroom classes. So we try not to have like full-time students in the special classes, because there is no point to put their kids in inclusive schools if we have students only in special classes. So these days, teachers and the schools are more they are more acceptable to have students with special needs in inclusive classes compared to before. So those are another statistics that we have students in with special needs in general schools, and yep. And if you see the full inclusive classes, you can see students with students who spends the whole day in inclusive classes, like usually in elementary school. Sorry. So we have issues that the older they get, they are less included in their homeroom classes for their academic achievement gap and other needs as well. So those are special education statistics annually collected in Korea. So if you visit my NISC website, you can take a look more detailed statistics, which is in English version. So you can take a look. And then the practice of inclusive education, so in Korea, inclusive education is getting kind of settled. So everyone knows what inclusive education is, and then Even though some teachers are not so familiar with the inclusive education, and some teachers are not really willing to have students with special needs in their classes, but they know that there is no choice, but they have to. And then we do disability awareness education. It's kind of must. And then in Korea, 20th of April is a day for people with disabilities. So every school has a kind of event or kind of educational program to, I shouldn't say celebrate, but kind of to celebrate the day for the people with disabilities in April. And also these days, we don't emphasize disabilities anymore. We used to call it understanding disability, but we don't call understanding disability anymore, but we use the term of empathy. So in Korea, we call it disability empathy education more often than disability awareness or disability understanding education. And basically, teachers are focusing more on diversity instead of disability. So we do education programs to promote respecting disabilities as a part of disability awareness education at each school. And those education is not only for the students or teachers, but also parents and all the public. So disability awareness education is quite common in Korea, especially in April. You can see many events. So these are some snapshots of one elementary school that they have disability empathy education. So we have a lot of learning materials and then programs. And these are another event. So the left picture is like a portable cafe. And then one special school made this event for the local community so that the students with disabilities will sell the coffee and cookies for the community, and then they can present what they have learned, like interacting with people, the money accounting. And the right side is a cultural event. So those are play, like a musical play. And we have a lot of performance, like musical performance performed by people with disabilities or blind. And then the left one is the school competition, like quiz competition. So we have, because it's been like more than 2 decades since we started those kind of education at each school level, and then those educations are taking place in like local offices or any companies. So it's very common. So I think those help public to be more aware of diversity and disabilities and the positive image of disabilities as well. And then one specific thing, I think only Korea has this kind of broadcasting program. So every year, the 20th of March, 20th of April, the KBS, KBS drama, Korean drama company. So the broadcasting system company provided the educational kind of drama or musical or anything. Every year they made for, I think, the public kind of pro bono thing. So those video clips can be drama or movie or animation. Every year they made a different one. And then schools use these material for their students' education. So, and then on the same day and same hour, the radio station plays this program real time. So every population can access. So the right side is the capture of my institute website. So those materials are all downloadable from my website, so teachers can use it. And then the second one, so the first one was disability awareness education, which make the school climate more inclusive, and then the people's common sense. But the second practice is making classes more inclusive. It's more about academic related. So universal design for learning and curriculum adaptation and team teaching or co-teaching, those are real practice in classroom that Korean government, Korean Ministry of Education, and Korean teachers community are focusing on these days. And those are evidence-based. So everyone knows what universal design is. So universal design is, can you choose the left and right? Which one is the universal design? Can you choose the left or right? Everyone knows that, right? Which one do you think is more universally designed?
Well, I think it would be the right one.
The right one. So can you tell me the reason?
Well, that was because the right one can be accessed using the wheelchair.
Yeah, so they have ramps, and then they also have stairs. So this is not only for the people with physical disabilities, also for like people who carry heavy stuff or who carry who are not able to use the stairs. So like universal design is more about accessibility. So we have to make your lesson, your classes to accessible to everyone. So this one also, you can tell that which is more universal. Of course, the left one. Even with our fingers, we can open the door. So those are kind of typical example of universal design. And then we are trying to make our classes more universal to everyone. So I think I have no time to explain every single elements of a universal design. But if you visit the CAST.org, they have very easy explanation about UDL. So in Korea, teachers need to know what UDL and then how to implement UDL in their classes. So this is the key for the inclusive education, not only for the students with disability, but also students with any kind of different needs. So these are the practice of inclusive education, and then teachers who are so good at making their class inclusive education, they are expert in UDL. And the curriculum adaptation is also similar, but while UDL is making your classes more accessible, like for everyone, curriculum adaptation or instructional modification, those are kind of a similar concept. These are making your classes more flexible. So we have to know that every student can have this different goal, different learning goal, different way of learning, different way of being evaluated. So these concepts are very difficult for teachers who didn't really experience inclusive classes when they are students and when they are pre-service teachers. So everyone has their national textbook. Everyone has their national curriculum standards, but not every student can fit the national learning goals at every lesson. So make your classes more flexible, responding to diverse learners is the key for the inclusive education. So teachers are trying to make their classes more flexible. So you should make a learning environment more flexible. Like if you have students with autism in your classes, your classroom has to be more visually structured. And if you have students with dyslexia, your teaching material should be more vocal, or your text should be reconstructed. So those things are the teachers have to do it. So So to help the teachers to make their classes more flexible, they have to make a different version of worksheets or different version of teaching materials. So to help those teachers, my institute make substitutional textbooks. So the left one is Korean language textbook for the primary school, and then the white one is the mathematics textbook, substitution textbook. So those are still based on the general textbooks. So usually special classes teachers use this textbook, or inclusive classroom teachers use these textbooks for their students with special needs. So those are still related to the general textbooks according to the general curriculum, because they are in inclusive classrooms, inclusive education settings, but it's easier and simpler. So the students can learn a bit easier way, simpler way, but still in a same context with the other students without disabilities. So those are quite helpful. So many teachers use this substitution textbook. And then the second one is co-teaching. So, you know, you cannot expect one teacher can handle all the classroom dynamics. And if you have students with behavior problems, or you have students with very, very severe disabilities who needs extra support, you know, we need extra teacher. But we can use, you know, teacher aides, or you can use other professionals. But the best option is actually 2 teachers work together, or 3 teachers. So those are co-teaching models. So you can Google, and then you can probably many of you are already familiar with those co-teaching models. So in Korea, we have co-teaching model schools. We call it inclusive education model schools. We started that project since 2018, and then we started from 40 schools. And then now we have 104 schools and 114 schools. So every year, when we started, it was very little number, but every year more schools are joining the project. So, and then we also have a workshop to share how they do the co-teaching and inclusive education projects. And then some broadcasting TV show also addresses the importance of co-teaching. And then the leadership is also important. We are running over time, right? How many minutes do I have? How many minutes do I have?
You still have about 10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay, thank
Yeah.
you. So, so now, I mean, in Korea, we've been doing inclusive education, like it's been developing, and it's been getting better, but still we have many challenges. First, the leadership. School leaders still consider disability as a medical needs. The students needs to be improved, and if students are ready for the classroom, we are welcome. And also teachers, some teachers or some principals or some admin officers, they still think disability is something that we have to give very, very special services in a segregated settings for them. I mean, for the students with disabilities. So I think they are still in a medical model. So I think you are all familiar with the medical and social model, the differences. So if we are still having medical model for the students with disabilities, actually teachers have not so much to do for them. So before we think we change the kids, actually the school has to be changed, and then the society has to be changed. That's the social model. And if we change ourselves, if we change our school, if the teachers change their teaching style, kids will grow. Kids will be changing as well. So those things. And then in a similar context, administrators still think special education is a very, very small part of their work. So, you know, the budget issue and the human resources, we need a lot more than students without disabilities. We need a lot more because it's what it is. But you know, the administrators still think we have to look at like the majority of students, and they are still, you know, talking about equity, yeah. So those are still, we have to talk with them. They have to experience inclusive education, and then the beauty of it, and they probably think giving more services or giving more budget on special education is not only for the students with special needs, but for everyone. We need more experience, I think. And then the definition of education in schools. So in Korea, I think Korea is quite notorious for academic pressure and very high competition and very high suicidal rate among teenagers because of the stress. So the school has a lot of stress, and the students get stressed a lot. So sometimes people think school is only for the academic achievement. School is only for the degrees. School is more for their, you know, studying competition. Then we cannot see, you know, students with different needs because they are, you know, hidden all the time. If we think education school is only for their graduation and then their academic competition. So but still in Korea, we have very, very high demands on academic achievement. So it's a big challenge still. So although we have a lot of problems, so we try to give workshops and trainings for principals or school leaders every year. So it's a kind of compulsory for them. And then in Korea, we recently developed index to measure if and how your school is sensitive or responds to the disability. So we call it School Disability Awareness Index using situation-based scale. So each item, each questionnaire is situation-based sentences. So for the teachers and for the students, we have different items with the different situations. So by answering all the items, we can measure if your school is how much disability awareness, how well disability awareness level has. So we started this one only a few years ago. So this is a kind of pilot trial this year. So we can get the scores after having all the data from one school, and then you can measure, and then the school leader or the office can recognize which school has less disability awareness and more disability awareness, which part needs more support, like perception or knowledge or practice emotions. I don't know if this index will be really, really useful tool, or if in this index really gives very good insight. I'm not so sure, but at least the school leader or teachers will think about disability awareness while they are marking those questionnaire, and then it's kind of indirect encouragement, I guess. So this is developed by the Ministry of Education 2 years ago, and then hopefully many schools get some ideas after measuring their schools' disability awareness. And then the teacher education is also a key. This is the biggest key in inclusive education. But in Korea, we have special and in general education dichotomous system, which means it's very difficult to make a connection between special education, general education in teacher education. So in pre-service teachers or in-service teachers, we cannot change our positions from special to general or general to special. So it's something that we have to overcome. And then still, inclusive education is considered to be an extension of special education to many teachers or to many professionals. So inclusive education is not extension of special education. Actually, inclusive education is more about for general education. So, but in Korea, many teachers or many professionals, many principals consider inclusive education is something that special education teachers have to do. So it's we need agreement that inclusive education has to take place in inclusive settings by general education teachers with collaboration from special education professionals. So these are on the way now, I think, in Korea, because more general education teachers are aware of the importance of inclusive education, not only for the special ed students, but for their education for all. And then more practical teacher education is needed. We have a lot of online contents for teacher education. Like we have like hundreds of online teacher training programs, but it's not like hands-on. Of course, it's not hands-on. So we need on-site support. Teachers has to meet, and the teachers has to share their cases. So teachers' professional learning communities are highly recommended in Korea. So these are the training that I have been in charge of. So the model of teacher training that I designed, that I planned since last year, is that we do online content for the theory, and then we meet together in summer vacation, and then we do hands-on training, and then we go back to their classes in September, and then they implement what they learn in their classes, and then they share their classroom practices on weekend. So it's like a year-long journey, but it's those kind of training really empowering the teachers according to my experience. So those kind of teacher education is needed in each local community and each school, I guess. So in Korea, we started special education and inclusive education on top down. So we have very, very strong legislation. We have very, very strong laws. So we started from top down, and then but these days, actually the laws are perfect, the policies are perfect, the practice is different story. So these days, good news is that more and more teachers are trying to make their classroom more inclusive, more flexible, more responding to diverse learners. So I think these days, young teachers, more passionate teachers are making issues out of their classes and then try to change their classes. So the bottom-up approach is ongoing in Korea. So it's a good news. So yeah, I think Indonesia probably have those passionate teachers. So the top-down approach and bottom-up approach need a common ground, I guess. So any questions? I had very limited time, so I'm so sorry. I spoke so fast, right?
No, we still can understand that.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Jia Song, for the insightful and inspiring presentation. It's truly an eye-opening to learn about the step and the progress that South Korea has made in inclusive education. All right, after listening to the insightful presentation, now we will move on to the Q&A session. I will begin the first round with 3 questions. Here we already listed some questions from the comment box. Okay, so the first question is from Halisa. This question is about the human resources problem. So earlier, Mr. Cecep mentioned that in Indonesia, we have a resources problem, including the quantity and the quality problem. And also, Jia Song also mentioned that maybe some teacher is not or are familiar with inclusive education. So how do we solve this problem, especially about the competence of the teacher? Maybe this question is also have the link with the question from Pak Subagya. Pak Bagya has the question about what is the minimum educational qualification for teacher to teach children with special needs in Korea. So maybe Mr. Cecep would like to answer this question first.
Thank you, Mbak Leni. Please allow me to provide answers in a difficult manner, in a different manner. I want to say that every single time I attend public lecture like this, similar questions rise. And every single time I would like to quote a very important statement in terms of education. Every single person who talks about education is just like developing a perfect painting. Developing a perfect painting is something impossible to execute. And every single time we talk about education, people become the experts of education, no matter what their education background is. So there is no single solution to what the questions of our students have in improving human resources. However, what I can say is, please allow me to share a couple of tips and suggestions towards this issue of improving human resources. Indonesia is not lack of human resources in terms of quantity. We are the 4th largest population in the world. However, in terms of quality, we have to be honest that yes, but perhaps PISA is precise. We are top bottom list in terms of quality, in terms of reading, numeracy, and also science. By having that data in mind, what I could suggest is that all of us need to learn more from what we are doing right now. If you are students, please do read more because we are lack of literacy. Our bachelor students, our bachelor graduates, study shows that our literacy is at the level of the 3rd graders of senior high schools. So I think this is reality. Perhaps what you want me to answer is that we need political, we need political movement. We need some efforts from the governments. No. So as you could see from my title, my research was on educational leadership. Based on my research, things should actually start from schools in Indonesian context. If we rely on the Indonesian government, rely on the state budget, I think Pritchett from Harvard University is precise, saying that we need 360 years. The reference is the world's most literate. The book is called The World's Most Literate. Indonesia needs 360 years to achieve what Finland's average right now. And based on the data, that data is precise. So my suggestion right now is read more. Indonesian people need to read more, need to study more, and students need to do research, which is valid and reliable. The reason why I'm saying this is please check Boston Consulting Group writing, saying that in Indonesia, to get a precise data is almost impossible. In order to get a very good research results is almost impossible. Check McKinsey's literature as well. All of the research in Indonesia is almost fabricated. You do the research just to get a result and then graduate. This is a huge homework for everybody. Forget political movement because you know the situation in Indonesia, different ministries, different ministers, different policies. The same thing happens in all around the globe in the world. But the reason Indonesia is lagging is because I think this is very difficult for us to increase our own capacity. When we ask students to read more, it's considered as a violation towards human rights. So this is difficult homework for everybody. But my answer is that we need to improve. We need to start from improving our own capacity. Back to Baleni.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chen, for your response. So if I may summarize that we are a big country, so that the things that we need to improve is our literacy, so that we need to read more to improve our knowledge. Okay, thank you. So now we are moving on to our second speaker. Please, Yasong, we would like to hear the response from you regarding the problems about human resources.
Okay, I mean, thank you for the answer. I mean, from Sesap, yeah, I can see that you are very, I mean, your passion and then the concerns. Yeah, it takes time. It takes time to, yeah, to, you know, to make human resources more capable. It takes time, but I don't think it will take like 300 years in Indonesia. Hopefully it takes less. But in terms of special education teachers, can I talk about the special education teacher as a human resources here? Yeah, right now. So for the teacher, special teachers in Korea, I think it's very difficult to compare Korean teacher education system and Indonesia teacher education system, because actually teaching job in Korea is quite highly respected. I mean, highly preferred. I mean, people choose teaching job quite a lot. It's quite high competition to get a teaching job in public schools in Korea. So basically, teachers in Korea, especially in public schools, they have many of them have their master's degree, at least bachelor degree, of course, because without bachelor degree, they cannot get teacher license. So every teacher has a 4-year bachelor degree in their different major. Like for instance, I major special education, but English education, whatever. So 4-year degree is a minimum. And then most Korean teachers get master's degree during their teaching career. So, and then PhD is not like rare. It's not common, but it's neither rare. So in terms of academic level, I think the Korean teachers are quite okay, like Finland or like other countries. So I think, their willingness to teach students with special needs and the willingness to have students with special needs in their classes is a bit different story. It's a different story, but I think teachers can learn, and if there is a adequate support is given. So even though in Korea, like literacy, I think Korean people have the highest literacy rate in the world, but still the highest societal rate as well. So it's kind of pros and cons. We are very academically like forced culture, and then education is so important in Korean population. Like we don't eat 3 meals, but we teach kids. That's Korean kind of concept in afterward. Like my mom's and father generation, education is the first option in their family. Yeah, they earn money and then they spend like most of the money on their kids' education. So it's kind of cultural differences, I think. But I don't think it's better than Indonesian way. I don't think so. But anyway, that's what it is. And so in Korea, teachers' qualification is okay, I think. But in terms of inclusive education, I think the teachers need more experience, and then positive experience. So there are many researchers that what is the most important elements to give positive impacts on the teachers' inclusive practice. And then they said it's more about the willingness is the most important. So sometimes teachers say that I don't know about special education, I don't know about disability, so that's why I cannot do. But that's not the first first obstacles at all. If they are willing to do it, and then if they think, oh, special education and inclusive education is something attractive, something that I want to try, that I want to make my classroom more inclusive, then they will learn. They will get the knowledge, and then they will get the hands-on experience. So I think it's important to have enough support for the teachers who are interested in inclusive education and NIST, and that we give them a chance to make their classes more inclusive with enough support. So I can see the questions on the chatting that if the teachers inclusive education in Korea has other professionals to collaborate. The answer is yes or no. So co-teaching, if the inclusive classroom teacher wants to work with the special education teachers, they can make a co-teaching classroom. It's up to them. And then sometimes if some students has a behavior issues, everyone knows positive behavior intervention, right? Positive behavior supports. Some students need exceptional support for their behavior problems, as challenging behaviors. Then we sometimes bring external experts into the classes with a different budget. So Office of Education in each province or each city has a specific budget for the behavior management issue. So if the teachers are open to have external experts, yes, you can have external professionals in the classes, but it's not something that everyone has. So I think in Korea, if the teacher is willing to do it, I think the support is kind of possible. So yeah, human resources, their qualification and their capability for inclusive education is a complex issue, but I think to give them more positive experience, inclusive education is good for the teachers, the kids, and then it's rewarding. So that's I think that's more important to make teachers more capable of doing inclusive education. I don't know if that's the right answer for you.
Okay, thank you, Jia, for your response. So if I summarize that the teacher problem is a part of cultural difference between Korea and Indonesia. And for that, Korean has been given the support for the teacher, maybe in the form of co-teaching, or maybe if the teacher needs external professionals to have them in their class management. Okay, thank you for both of our speaker for the answer, and thank you, Halisa, for the question. I hope it was clear, and I trust that the explanation have been clarified your question. Okay, now we are moving on to the second question. It is from Josephine, and it is regarding the collaboration parents. Okay, so parents collaboration have become an issue, especially in students with special needs. Josephine wants to know how to solve the problem if we have difficulties in collaboration with parents, or maybe the parents feel reluctant to collaborate with teacher in educating their children. Maybe Ms. Acep would like to answer this question.
Right. Thank you very much. To Josephine, my question is, Don't you think that all schools in Indonesia have teacher and parent committees?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes. All schools in Indonesia are obliged to have school parent-teacher committees. But the problem is, I think this is all about effectiveness, as I mentioned earlier. Indonesian people tend to love brands. Yes, we develop organizations. Yes, we develop committees and so on and so forth. The name is fancy. You put the name at the front of the school. You put a sign there, teacher, parent, committee of senior high school, blah, blah, blah. But in reality, do you know what? The research says that in Indonesia, in Thailand, and some other Southeast Asian countries, teacher-parent committees is nothing more than rubber stamp. Do you know rubber stamp? So it is a stamp that we use to stamp on a paper. So it's there, but it doesn't work, which means that it relates back to another research. So now the question is, how can we make it effective? I think it's a long run to go. We can use either by law, like for example, in creating schools, disability units in local education authorities. If they don't develop it, so the local governments will face legal problems. But that kind of approach is something harsh to do and something that we no longer do in a democratic world. So what we could do is we advocate, the ministry could advocate local governments or schools to engage more with parents. But again, this is something difficult. In Indonesia, everything is always all about loophole. If we force schools to have more active teacher-parent committees, then in the end, schools will demand budget. School will demand resources. School will demand this and that. So what I can say right now is I would like to provide more questions to you that provide question. So if you were given wealth, if you were given sufficient money, I want you all to reflect which school that your children will attend to. Is it state schools or private schools? After the question, another question follows. If you choose private schools, is it going to be a fancy, expensive ones, or just some regular private schools that normally accept some leftovers? The answer is normally pretty clear. Middle class families in Indonesia will choose private schools that provide semi-international curriculums. The reason behind this is very clear. The education is good, the teacher-parent relationship is very well, in the end, providing more inclusive, better learning environment for the students. So in the end, this is all about preference. And of course, behind it is wealth. So back to your question, I think we all know the answer is why. We all know why teacher and parent committee in Indonesia is not working. And we do need to do things about this. Second response. It's not answers. Second response to your question. Go back to the library of your universities. Please take a look at research about teacher-parent support system in schools around your area. There are plenty. And I guarantee 100% that the answer will be something about, yes, there are positive relationship between between parent and teacher in this school and that school. So I think we need to sit back, reflect, and do changes from our own ecosystem. From your own, from students' perspectives, I think this is wise for us to provide a very good research that says the truth, that says valid and reliable data and answers to our existing education condition in Indonesia. Sorry if my answer may not satisfy your question, but I believe this is for the best. Thank you very much. Back to Lenny.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cecep. That was right that every school has parents committee, and the answer is that we have to make it effective. And how to make it effective, we need to implement make various law or policy regarding the teacher parents collaboration. Thank you. Okay, now I'm moving on to Jia Song. Please, we would like to hear from you about the teacher parents problem, parents and teacher collaboration problem, especially in Korea.
In Korea, yeah, we also have a parent committee, parent teacher committee in Korea as well. So when a school make their annual plan, so the parents, the representative attend because they are one of the committee members. So they join their committee, they must, and then they engage in decision making in each school level. And then we have I mean, at school level, we do such committee, but then also in the city level, we also have like a teacher parents association or something. So they can make a suggestion, so they can attend like a council like meetings as well. So I think Korean parents are engaging the school education like in an official way as like the committee. But I'm not so sure what kind of problems do Indonesian schools have with the parents and teachers. But in Korea, it's more about like a trust issue if we have. But I think it's for the students with special needs. I think we have individual educational plans, which is the legally must one. So we anyway meet the parents at least every semester for the IEP team meeting. So we do communication. I think students with special needs, we have it's quite we don't really have big issues between teachers and parents, but there are exceptional cases like they have like trust issues, so the parents record the classes, and then those kind of issues are it's very unhappy thing. But in general, I think special education teachers in Korea, we are very we take it very important to have ongoing communication with the parents, and then we every morning or every after school we text or we talk, so or we make a phone call, or the parents also give any kind of updates in their home. So if they were sick, if he didn't have dinner, or if he didn't have breakfast, we have kind of communication system like so it is important, especially when students has a severe disability and then some behavioral issues. We have to make a data collection of their what he has been doing at home, what he has been doing in classes. So we have to share those information. But if the students has not so big issues and they are kind of well doing in the school, probably we do less communication. But in general, like many parents wants to make a regular communication with the special education teachers, and then usually those communication make a positive impacts on the relationship between parents and teachers. But I would like to know what kind of problems between Indonesian teachers and parents have, yeah, for the school education. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Gia, for your response. So if I may summarize that there are not so many teacher-parents collaboration issues in Korea, unlike in Indonesia. But occasionally there are exceptional issues that may happen in school. And also one thing that I highlight that in Korea, there is a regular communication between parents and teacher and how to monitor the progress of the students. Okay, thank you for the response from the both speaker, and thank you for Josephine for the question. I hope the explanation and the run from the speaker has answered your concern. Okay, now we will like to hear the opinion from Mr. Yuwono about the issue, please. Mr. Joko Yuwono.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Nice to meet you, Pak Cecep and Jia. Hello, Jia.
Hi.
Hi. Yes, before this time, I communicated with the Jia only with WhatsApp because Jia have friend library. So today we meet in Zoom. Especially for Jia, in the chat box, Professor Gunar Hadi keep a question about do you have most current research topic that we may collaborate? Yes, and maybe as information, Pak Cecep, maybe Pak Cecep knows Jia from Korea to will have a plan with will visit in Indonesia, and yeah, maybe next time we can discuss about that. So we hope Jia can visit in Solo in my university too, because Solo Solo City is one of the good practices about implementation inclusive education in Indonesia. Maybe. So especially please give me information. What the many topic big issues in the inclusive education in the Korea. So it is very important to us maybe in Indonesia, connected with Indonesia, especially for Jia. Kalau Pak Cecep, enggak. Terima kasih. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mbak Leni.
Okay, so shall I answer for this?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a lot of research topics, and I don't know what is the most current research topic in inclusive education. If you say most current, but these days behavior support is a big issue in Korea, especially for students with special needs, and also for the whole school, like. Regardless of having disability or not, like students' behavior issues are very, very big issue in Korea. So I think the most current research topic, if you are talking about inclusive education, not limited to students with a disability, because actually behavior management or behavior support should be preventive, not like post action. So positive behavior support has been a very, very big issue. And then the Ministry of Education spend a lot of budget on positive behavior intervention. And then the data collection that I talked to you for the between parents and teachers is also a part of positive behavior supports intervention. So, but I'm not so sure if Indonesian schools schools also have been practicing positive behavior support in schools. I don't know if so. If some schools are practicing positive behavior support at school level, we call it school-wide PBS. then maybe we can make a comparative research. Like many special schools in Korea implement school-wide PBS, past behavior support. So probably that's most current research in inclusive education, and also co-teaching, because as I told you on the presentation, we started the co-teaching model schools since 2018. So it's getting settled. So maybe if it's a good model for the inclusive education, then we can probably do similar teaching model in a different schools in a different cultural context, and then we can see the effects, or yeah, those kind of stuff. Yeah, maybe I should study more. Yeah.
Thank you, Jia.
Right, thank you, Gia, for the response. We would like to hear the response from Professor Gunar Hadi. Please, Professor Gunar Hadi.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ms. Yasong, for
Thank
the
you.
nice response in this case, because I think we are planning to work together. So from now on, I think we can decide the interesting topic, especially the most current topic that we can collaborate. Yes. So upon your coming to Indonesia, especially to Solo, I think we can discuss further, including the MOU. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Thank you very much. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Professor Gunar Hadi, for the response. All right, I think we have answered the question for today. A big thank you to everyone for your great question. And thank you to our wonderful speaker, Tia Song and Mr. Cecep for the explanation. The next agenda is the closing statement from the speakers. Perhaps not that long, maybe about 1 to 2 minutes would be enough. Maybe Mr. Cecep would like to give your closing statement first.
All right. It's supposed to be ladies first, but sorry, Gia. So I should start now. But anyway, first of all, thank you very much to Pak Joko and all the colleagues in the ONS for inviting me and having me here. It's a great honor. And I have nothing to share other than knowledge, other than what I read so far, and other than the concerns to every single thing happening in Indonesia in relations to education. I really hope that I could provide differences to this guest lecture, and I really hope that we could work further other than just having a guest lecture. And last but not least, looking forward to welcoming Gia and colleagues in Indonesia. Thank you very much. Over to you, Lenny.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Cecep. That was such a powerful line as a reminder for all of us. Now, Jia Song, please, we would like to hear the closing statement from you.
Okay, thank you very much for having me here. And I learned a lot about how Indonesian education is working on. And I think there are a lot of potential in Indonesia in education as well. So like Korean education system is not perfect at all. And I'm not here I'm not here because I'm Korean education is good. It's not like that. I'm just sharing that you don't have to make the same mistake that we made, because Korean special education has been like a 30, 40 years of history, and we know what mistakes can happen. So I think we can learn from each other, and then we can share the useful model for the inclusive education. So thank you again, and I hope to see you again.
All right, thank you. It was such an encouragement statement for all of us who work in the field of special education. All right, I think that was the end of the discussion agenda today. Once again, I would like to thank you to our wonderful speaker for taking the time to be here. And
Coba.
What's wrong, Pak Joko?
Yeah, then you have a problem with the internet.
Yeah, you can just take over, Pak Joko.
Over to MC ceremonial Mbak Clara. Thank you, Jia, Pak Cecep.
Thank you,
We can learn more from you from Korea, from Indonesia.
Hope so. Yeah. Why don't you visit Korea?
Thank
Yeah,
you,
I can
Jia. Thank you,
arrange
Pak
all the
Cecep. Terima
schools for
kasih.
you.
Thank you.
Terima kasih. Bye.
Over
Thank
to you,
you.
Clara.
Thank you.
Nggak ada suaranya, Mbak Clara. Oh, nggak masuk ya?
Wait.
All right. You hear my voice?
Yes.
All right. I'm really sorry. Once again, thank you very much for Bu Leni for guiding us through this webinar so it runs smoothly. And once again, on behalf of the committee, I would like to express our deepest appreciation to our two speakers, Bapak Cecep Sumantri, PhD, from the Directorate of Special Education and Special Service Education, Ministry of Education Indonesia, and also Song Jia-si from the National Institute of Special Education Korea, as well for our wonderful moderator, Leni, and also technical team, organizing committee, and all participants from various region and institution. Before we end this webinar, I would like you to open your camera and we will take a screenshot for our documentation. All right. We turn on our camera for all the participants.
Jia and Pak Cecep has live. It's okay.
Oh,
It's-
all right.
Ya, it's too late ya.
Ya, ya dia punya jadwal padat itu dua-dua.
Okay. All is good. Now we are going to take the first slide.
Tapi tadi udah saya putus bagian-bagiannya.
Right. And then this, are you ready for the second slide? Done? All right. That's really good. That's conclude our guest lecture today. We are very thankful for everyone participating in this event. We hope that we can meet in another event, and we are really sorry if there is any inconvenience happen in this event. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. You can leave the meeting.
Thank you, Mbak
Bye.
Clara,
Terima kasih, Prof.
Pak Leni, Pak Joko.
Terima kasih untuk semuanya, Prof. dan semuanya. Terima kasih. Mari kita akhiri dengan